Hey everyone, this is John.
This is Hector.
Up next, it is everyone's favorite psychic hobag, Emma Frost.
God, I love her.
She's so good.
She's so great. Everything about this character is, in my opinion, fantastic. Because she's one of those quintessential characters that she's loyal to the people she's loyal to, but in the end, it's her. It's her vision. It's what she wants to do. Yeah. She's making decisions based on what's best for her.
She's very much making her own path.
Pretty much. And granted, think about it, she's still very much about the mutant race. She adopted Cyclops and in a way, Charles's visions. But yeah, it's...
Starting out, it was mostly to suit her purposes. That was the safest place for her to be.
I mean, during the Felix Covenant, when she finally get in, because she was in a coma when all that stuff went down. When Trevor Fitzroy actually killed her entire Hellion team and then attacked her, and the entire team is dead except for her, and they brought her into the X Mansion and said, "Hey, we're gonna get you ready." And she was the only one who saw that they were not the actual X-Men and that they were the Felix.
Well, you're going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting on this one because I haven't gotten into any of like the Generation X or that stuff yet. But let's start at the beginning, because she first appeared as a villain in or around the Dark Phoenix saga.
The Dark Phoenix saga, everybody thinks it's when... A lot of people think it's that issue where Jean is holding up the sign and she's crushing it and it's saying Dark Phoenix, or it says X-Men. That issue is number 135. A lot of people that think issue 135 is the start of the Dark Phoenix saga. In actuality, it starts off in issue 129. Because that is the first appearance of the Hellfire Club. That is where we're jumping into a storyline that is very important to the Dark Phoenix saga. Very important. We are getting... this is where we get Kitty for the first time, who is part of this story. This is where we get Dazzler, who is an important part of this story. You get two major X-Men actually out of this, who at the time don't become X-Men until later. Right. Kitty becomes one sooner than Dazzler, who comes in after 5 years afterwards, but she had her own series for 42 issues.
42 glorious issues.
They were fantastic. Some might even say they were glowing.
Stop it. But you begin, you first see Emma Frost when she is trying to recruit Kitty, because both Xavier and Emma Frost are trying to recruit Kitty for their own school. Exactly.
The Massachusetts Academy is where Emma is teaching at, which is also funded by the Hellfire Club. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to recruit her because she's trying to gather her Hellions, which... Honestly, whenever we do a show about Kitty, is a huge part of the early 80s and her run with the X-Men is her going back and forth between going to the New Mutants team and then going and fighting the Hellfire Club and all of that stuff. So it just doesn't end there with her. But this is where Emma sends people out, the Hellfire Club, their little minions, and they attack the X-Men at like a ice cream shop or something like that. Yeah. And that's where she figures out, it's the first time she has phased and she didn't pass out. So, where she sees, Colossus turn into metal. She sees Wolverine pop his claws and Storm doing things with the weather that she never thought could happen. And it's kind of one of those things that it leaves a mark on her. It's actually a really interesting throwback, too, that they actually use it in Astonishing, where Emma and Kitty are having a conversation, and Kitty says something to the fact that, I saw evil when I was 13, and anytime I think of evil, I think of you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting dynamic they have all throughout Astonishing, because you had Emma Frost send her minions after Kitty, and then you had later on when Emma Frost makes her second appearance, you have like that forcible transfer. Like Emma Frost convinces Kitty's parents to send her to the Massachusetts Academy unwillingly, so she's forced to leave the X-Men.
Professor Xavier's a jerk.
Yeah. And that whole storyline, it gets weird because that's also when Emma Frost like swaps bodies with Storm. Not through some sort of psychic trickery, but she has a body swap gun.
Yes.
Which, of course, sure. Yeah. But throughout that storyline, then you have Storm in Emma Frost's body hanging out with Kitty. Like they're trying to get back to the Xavier Institute, driving there together, and there's always this unease with Kitty where like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's Storm, but what if it's not? And just not comfortable being in the same room as someone who looks like Emma.
Right. And you get that. But I mean, going back to Emma with all of this, it's just one of those things. She's for the Hellfire Club. We're getting all this done with her. But is it like, what is her actual end game with the Hellfire Club? Because she pretty much wants to rule that place.
Yeah. Yeah, and much like, probably a little bit more nefarious than she does with Cyclops, but she sort of attaches herself to Sebastian Shaw. Like, he's in charge, so if I manipulate him, I'm in charge.
Exactly.
So, I mean, let's get into some backstory here, because there was actually an origin story, and hers, like, when you compare it to, like, the X-Men origins that they did, in the late 2000s, you like had one for Beast and you had one for Iceman, a lot of the original X-Men. Hers was several issues long and spanned 2 storylines. Like there was quite a bit of backstory for her.
Yeah, she actually had her own series. I mean, it was really teen angsty. It really was. Yeah. But it kind of gave you a little bit of a backstory for her, like as in where she comes from. We learned that, you know, she has some like kind of like a shitty family. She comes from a shitty family life.
She's an heiress to a large company. She's come from money. Has this dysfunctional family life. She has this like entitled, conniving older sister. This goth, sort of indifferent sister. This brother who's been estranged from the family because he's gay. An abusive father, very abusive, like just emotionally and physically abusive father to all the family members. A very apathetic mother. Her family life is pretty shitty.
Yes.
And she finds a lot of her escape from that from going to school. And she has this teacher crush that she never really resolves. And you see it stretch into the second storyline of her series. But you're right. I think it's very angsty. It comes off to me as a bit trite.
Yes.
There's not a whole lot of original things going on here. I actually thought that there was going to be something more with the older sister, because when you think of how Emma Frost is now, you would expect her to come from the sort of origins, like how like the older sister sort of becomes the mentor and teaches her how to be conniving and shitty like her.
Which is really interesting, because during Generation X, Adrian, the older sister, is a main villain.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. She comes in, she's responsible for planning a bomb in the school and killing one of the more predominant Generation Xers, Sync, who is kind of like almost like a leader in a leadership moral. He was kind of like the Cyclops, but a little better.
He was the Boy Scout.
Yeah, he was kind of the Boy Scout. But he...
As long as she didn't get Monet.
No.
Okay.
Monet wouldn't let that happen.
Good.
Because she's perfect. And she knows it. Yeah, the sister comes in and she creates havoc there. So that was probably why you got a little more of her backstory in that, because Generation X had ended by that time when you get that.
But it's not... a particularly impressive or memorable backstory. No. There's a second storyline. It has her go to college. She meets another psychic that kind of becomes her mentor, teaches her how to use her powers. She sees her teacher again that she had a crush on. The roommate, this conniving roommate, this psychic kindred spirit, orchestrates it so that she cannot have the things that she wants. There's this almost this sexual tension even between Emma and the other psychic in the room, which I mean never really goes anywhere. And that's kind of the thing about this storyline, is that it resolves in the other psychic going away, Emma basically vegetableizing her, and Emma is like, okay, well, I'm going to become a teacher now. Okay. I mean, she does, throughout the series, have this affinity toward academic type stuff. She likes being at school.
Yes. Which, there was another X-Men origin story. They were little one-shots, and one was for Emma. And it was all first person, telling from her point of view. And her going through just kind of the changes in her life. And she briefly touches on that. And how she rose herself up from being this meek little girl to this very powerful personality. It starts with her. It actually starts with her in the backstage of a Hellfire Club where she's a dancer at, and her trying to psych herself up that she can do this. And it ends with her walking into the room where she's keeping Storm, Colossus, and Wolverine during the Dark Phoenix saga, and basically like, who's ready to play? Like, it was really interesting to see like her growth, kind of like, I mean, it was like a short little consent. It was basically like Emma Frost for dummies, is what it was. But you really don't understand like her love for teaching, actually, until you get more into the New Mutant series, where she does have her Hellions and she's teaching them to basically be the New Mutants and that whole thing going on. So I feel like you see that. I mean,
I haven't gotten there yet. I just actually started up New Mutants. I'm just starting up the graphic novel.
Okay.
So I'm getting like a lot of their origins. And just as a quick side note, it is interesting to see how they introduce all of the New Mutants and how different it is from like introducing the new X-Men and giant size X-Men. Yep. And I think it really becomes this template for how mutants are introduced, not only in the comic books but in like TV series. This is how you see them. Like they're in a stressful situation, their powers manifest, they freak out and everyone else freaks out, and then they end up at the Xavier Institute. And that's the outline for how New Mutants join up with the X-Men now. But she's a villain for the New Mutants, you're saying?
Yes, okay. She is. For the entire series, she's pretty much one of their main antagonists, just because she leads that team. Like, that's her team. So when they do end up killing that team off and her having to go to the X-Mansion where she's being revived and everything, after the whole Phalanx saga and all that stuff, the Phalanx Covenant, she takes on the role as a head mistress again with Generation X. Which is great, because then with Generation X, the school is at the Massachusetts Academy, which is her old school.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a building. She owned it. She's like, why not? She's doing what she was doing before, but now she's doing it under the parameters of Xavier. I mean, you go through some really cool stuff. You learn about her sister and how crazy her sister is. You see the constant butting of heads over teaching methods, like the way she teaches compared to the way Banshee teaches. It's kind of like they headbutt at every corner. So because she's not that lovey-dovey teacher, she's a hard ass, and she's going to tell you suck, and then you're going to have to deal with it and figure out how you don't suck.
Which is this really interesting dichotomy with her, because she has this passion for teaching. She's a passion for telling kids that they suck.
Exactly.
Like, I love children. I love to beat them down.
But, I mean, also look at, like, Grant Morrison's new X-Men run. She kind of was the same way. Like, she was with her Stepford Cuckoo. She was like, all right, well, girls, do what you do. But remember, I'm number one. Like,
right, I'm the alpha here.
Yeah.
And she treats her, the people she has personal relationships with, the same way, where I'm going to break you down.
Yes.
She does that exact thing to Cyclops in Astonishing X-Men. She breaks him down psychically to the point where it's like she, like, in a very literal sense, breaks him. He is depowered. That's just her method. That's how she gets through to people to help them achieve self-actualization. It comes off as very harsh and very cold, but that's her method, and it works.
It sure does. You see her doing that during Grant Morrison's run. I mean, now we get into some really adult situations with her.
Some risque stuff.
I mean,
seducing a married man.
That latex costume that she wore.
No objections.
Like, everything about her was just, I'm different, and I'm going to stand out.
Yeah.
She's wearing white when everybody else is wearing black.
Yep. Sure is.
One of my favorite, when she breaks Cassandra Nova's neck, she was all like, I just forgot my purse. Now I'm leaving. She leaves.
Yep.
Like, it was great. Like, that's the character, and that's kind of bringing, you're starting to get her more, because, I mean, yeah, he changed her a little bit in that way, where she was always kind of a bitch, but she wasn't a huge, like, overpowering, like, I'm, like, super, super snooty. Like, yeah, she was snooty, but not super snooty. And you get a lot of that character in there, but at the same time, now we're getting into this psychic affair, which she goes ahead and starts, even though he resists it at first. And then she's like,
no, this is going to happen.
This is going to happen.
Just go with it.
Just lay down and take it. You know, like, it's, and he does. That's the thing. He does. She was able to make, well, granted, let's go back to saying that he was broken at that time, too.
Yeah.
He was. And was she a quick fix? Probably not. She ended up being a permanent fix at the end of it. But she took an opportunity, because that's another part about her. She's an opportunist. She truly is. And she took an opportunity and ran with it.
She was able to put him back together in a way that just Jean couldn't anymore. Because that relationship was already
done.
strained. Yeah.
It was already done. He already made his decision. And Emma just happened to be there and encouraged it.
Yep. Which then, of course, led to that showdown between Jean and Emma when Jean finally finds out. And they're inside Emma's mind having a little psychic love affair.
Yeah.
And Jean like busts open the doors, figuratively speaking, and
the psychic doors.
Yeah, Cyclops is like, wait, I can explain. You God, and he just disappears. Like, no.
It's just like, my wife is the most powerful psychic in the world. I mean, she held the Phoenix Force on multiple occasions since then. Is it really a good idea to piss her off like that?
Well, and he tries to justify it, like, it was just in our minds. It wasn't real.
And she's like, no, that's even worse. But it's true. And the fact that Emma was so unapologetic for it.
Oh, like, yeah. It's a great piece of art when it's one of the only pieces of art I actually like from that entire run. I find it all very ugly. But when Jean is busting in the door, Emma has this like sneer on her face, like, oh yeah,
and
it's going down.
And she's half dressed like a phoenix, half not, like trying to look like Jean and everything. And it's like, oh yeah, she has that, and she's in that mode too. She has this like stance, like sitting down on that bed, like, all right, let's do this. But knowing also that she's so not at the power level of Jean, she still goes at it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Jean takes her down.
Sure does.
I mean,
breaks her down real hard.
Effortlessly. Showed her every one of her dead students, from the Hellions all the way to Genosha.
Showed herself when she was younger, dealing with the abusive father.
Yep. It was like, this is your life. And guess what? It sucked. And she did it, but then what happened? Emma comes back from it. Well, she was shot first, million little pieces. We put her back together,
right,
and that, murder.
Detective Bishop shows up to solve the case.
Detective Bishop with his sidekick Sage. So, and that's where we find out that like Beacon Angel had children, which still disturbs me to this day.
Everything about that entire run with Grant Morrison was just so grotesque. Like whenever you see other student pictures, like the big panorama shots of mutants at the Xavier School, most everyone looks like a human being. They're got your characters like Beast, who still he looks like a lion at the time, but he's still like this really noble, handsome looking figure. Yeah. Like everyone in every other run of X-Men is in some way attractive.
Yes.
But in the Grant Morrison run, you have Beak. And God, there was this really disturbing issue in the Grant Morrison run where Zorn was going around town trying to find out who was like killing dogs and eating them, and it turned out to be like this 12-year-old kid who had mutated into like this gigantic, grotesque monster who could barely even like speak or communicate anymore.
Yes.
And God, it's fucking disturbing. It's like this really unsettling run where like, hey, this is like mutations gone bad.
But, I mean, this is probably another topic for another show, just Grant Morrison in general.
Yeah.
Because he does that a lot. I'm always on a love-hate relationship with him because he'll write some beautiful stuff. And then he does stuff, to, in my opinion, to shock. And to me, his new X-Men run is a bunch of shock value to the point where they retconned one of his major reveals in less than a month or a couple months.
Is that the Zorn?
The Zorn being Magneto.
Yeah.
And Magneto dying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, he did give us some stuff. He gave us second mutations.
Yeah, which... Is there a more prominent one than Emma Frost? Second mutation?
I mean, they tried to say... Well, Beasts is a second... second his form right now...
Yeah, his lion.
...is a secondary mutation.
Although he is back to being more of like an ape-like.
He's more ape-like again. Oh my god. It's there's like one or two more, but it's nothing. Like, I think this was before his run, but Angel's blood actually was supposed to be all healing.
Angel the Fly Girl. Or Angel
Warren Worthington.
Oh, okay.
His blood was supposed to be healing. He had a healing factor in his blood. And which meant that he could heal, which is why his wings, his feather wings grew back. But I don't know if they consider that a secondary mutation. Because I think that happened before.
Gotcha.
So,
but you see Emma's secondary mutation manifest when Genosha is destroyed and 60 million mutants die.
Once again, it happens during a very high stress situation, and a mutant power happens. I mean, she's carrying out Negasonic Teenage Warhead,
right?
You know, from Deadpool fame.
Yep.
Who was only alive for like 2 or 3 panels, but she's carrying her out in Diamond form, not even realizing that she's Diamond because she's already kind of like fucked up in the head right now, trying to deal with this because all her students are dead. And she's the only one that survived.
Yep.
And she's trying to save this girl who's already been dead for a while. You also have, in Grant Morrison's run, Jean Grey's still dead.
Yeah.
She's still dead. Emma and Cyclops were all the way together all the way until his death.
They were on again, off again a little bit. Like after the Phoenix 5.
After Phoenix 5, well, yeah, he attacked her.
Right.
He was like, I need your power. She's like, go fuck yourself. And he's like, no,
I want those powers.
They're mine now.
I mean, let's face it, though. The world was probably better off with Cyclops taking them all. Because when it was just Scott and Emma who had the Phoenix Force, Emma was ready to murder the world.
Well, because she was pissed off.
Right. and Scott was just barely able to keep her in check. So, you know, as much as everyone likes to villainize Scott Summers for the Phoenix Force, I mean, if Emma had been able to take it away from him, like, no, everyone's just dead.
Well, also, look at her with the Phoenix Force, though. Who was the one who told Namor where the Avengers were?
Oh, yeah.
She set that whole thing off.
Sure did.
That was her. She orchestrated that once again.
Dance puppets.
Yes, dance puppets. And that's what happened. She's like, I know where they are. They're in Wakanda. I haven't told Scott. He's like, done. And runs off. And it's just like, oh, God. It's and that's how you see her. Like, during Astonishing, we do get some redemption. We get a lot of redemption from her. We get her, I mean, during her whole storyline where she is attacking the X-Men because Cassandra Nova's in her head, you know, she fights it because she realizes that this is her home.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of that. During a lot of, like, Matt Fraction's run of X-Men is fantastic. Fantastic run. in my opinion, one of the best runs that I've seen of X-Men in a long time. It was like 2011 to 2013, something like that. But he also played with her a lot too, to show, like, giving her that compassion role, or also, you know, like, she was Cyclops' like #1 confidant. Like, he tended to run things through her before he did them.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Yeah, it's fine.
Whatever you want to do.
Go for it. You're fine.
The two of them got very good at holding conversations with each other in their head while they're still talking to other people.
Yes.
Which is great.
And it's because of the fact that you can argue that was more her than him. But I feel like, just like when him and the fake Jean did their psychic rapport before Dark Phoenix, I feel like that's what they did. They had this permanent rapport that they had,
yeah,
and they could see and hear things from each other.
And I really like the relationship between the two of them, because she's incredibly snarky and he's very tight-laced, but she does get him to loosen up quite a bit.
Yes.
I'm thinking specifically of this run of Astonishing again, where Cyclops is talking to Beast and Agent Brandt, and he swears at her, and
yes.
in his head he says, "Hey Emma, I just said fuck to Agent Brandt," and she responds like, "You tell that snot-haired cow who's boss," which is great.
I mean, that's great too. There's actually something in Astonishing within the first couple issues where I guess, like, Kitty's kind of like saying, "Oh, well, you know, are you sure she's not controlling your mind, blah, 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 blah," all that stuff. And he's like, no, this is totally me. And he turns to her and he's like, "So you're not controlling my mind, right?" And she turns to him, she's like, "You're never going to see me naked again."
Right.
And she's just kind of like, I mean, they're like, they have a fun dynamic for a while, but then again, it all depends on your writer. Like, that was Joss Whedon. Like, you know, that's...
Banter is one of his things.
Yes, banter. Pop culture reference. So, but it's funny though. But yeah, that also gave us another dynamic of the relationship. I mean, even after that with House of M, when they both wake up, and they find out that they're married to each other,
right.
They're both like, "Whoa.
Wait, pump the brakes.
What just happened? Like, we're married?" Like,
it was one of the intriguing things about House of M, because Xavier and Wanda basically just giving everyone what they want.
Exactly.
And it turns out what Scott wants is not Jean back alive.
It is Emma being married to him.
Right.
And having that normal life.
Uh-huh.
Yep. I mean, House of M is a whole other different episode we can do, because I can go on for hours about it.
Yeah.
But that was one of the ways that you were like, wait, this relationship's legit now, because that's what he wants. This is what's making him happy. Because then you get into, after Astonishing, I mean, you get, like I said, the Matt Fraction run. During the Matt Fraction one, there was actually the Sisterhood storyline, which was when Madeline Pryor's ghost comes back.
Oh.
Yeah, she's like, "Bitches, I'm back, and I need a body. Why not take the body that I am based off of?" So she creates her own Sisterhood team, which is, it's like Kimara, it's Lady Deathstrike, Lady Mastermind, and Mastermind, and then her secret weapon, Psylocke, because Psylocke is kind of dead but came back and all that fun stuff. But who is more upset that Madeline stole Jean's hair? And who had Jean's hair? Wolverine did. And Wolverine was more upset. Yeah. So
he's a creep.
Yeah, he is a creep. I mean, everybody loves Wolverine because, extreme 90s, chink shink, whatever. Go fuck yourself. You know, yeah. And, oh my God, he has so many moral consequences. I mean, he's a samurai. I'm like, oh, well, that's great. No. So, it's just, there also proves, like, we need to stop this because this is bad. But it's still a whole Emma Frost thing. And she even says something that, and she said it in astonishing too. No matter how hard I try or whatever, blah blah blah, I will never. I'll
always be playing second to a corpse.
Yep. Yes, and for a while that is really true. It's not until like Utopia starts happening and all of that starts happening after that. Maybe after like 2011, 2012, where it's kind of doesn't feel like that with her anymore.
I think that does a couple of things. It shows that she actually is invested in that relationship. She's not just using him because she's worried about, if she's ever going to be the number one person in his life rather than dead Jean Grey.
Yeah. She will always be compared to Jean Grey while she's on the X-Men because she's a psychic. Because she is a telepath. She's not telekinesis. She's not telekinetic. She's just a telepath. Where Jean was both. Mm-hmm. Which came about being really weird. But, she was both. Where Emma is only a telepath. So...
Yeah, so you always have the distinction between the two characters, and their personalities are also very wildly different. That's actually something that Cyclops mentions in the Grant Morrison run. He doesn't like bring up Emma specifically, but he kind of laments like when Jean was, I guess fake Jean, was with the Hellfire Club. She's like running around wearing a corset, whereas now she's wearing turtlenecks and sensible shoes. And there's no excitement in the relationship for him at that point. That's something that Emma can provide.
Yes, and she can provide very well.
And we've kind of alluded to this topic a couple of times now, but she does dress very distinctly.
She does,
and part of that is very disarming.
Yes. Because
when someone dresses like that, they are presenting one image, but really she's dressing that way for herself.
Yes.
It really has nothing to do with anyone else.
Yeah, she has said in multiple issues how comfortable she is with herself, mentally and physically. Like, she is, in her mind, she's perfect. She is the perfect person. She's beautiful, she has money, she has a killer body, she's smart, because she's a teacher. Mm-hmm. She is one of the most powerful telepaths in the world. Yeah, she's perfect, and she's going to let you know in every aspect of the way.
And maybe that's part of why she ends up so attracted to Scott, is because, like, yes, I am all of these things. Why can I not possess him? Like, why is he trapping himself in this unhappy marriage when he's got an out?
Yeah.
And when the marriage does end, when Jean dies, like, why am I still second place to this?
Exactly. When we get into like Death of X, we kind of see her actually finally the emotion that we really needed from her for the entire time. Granted, Regenesis, she chooses Scott, obviously, over Wolverine, because
not without letting him squirm for a minute, though.
Yeah, she let him squirm because, that's Emma.
Because it's an issue that keeps coming up, like, hey, I am right here, I have always been here, stop taking me for granted.
And which is true, which he does, which is probably the reason why him and Jean, for a while, that happened. Mm-hmm. But she made him squirm, but she actually told him the truth. She's like, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
This is what I do. He's offering me a school. What are you offering me? And then she basically is like, I've already made my decision and I'm staying with you. So she still teaches whoever stays with her, but she teaches.
Yeah.
But then you see during like Death of X that you see how much she loves him.
Yeah.
That
see some real emotion there.
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm jumping the ship with this one, but Inhumans versus X-Men, you kill my boyfriend, I'm killing your entire race. Like, it's done and done.
There's retribution to be had after Death of X. And I feel like that is a good place to transition to Inhumans versus X-Men. So that is going to be the next show.
All right.